Good morning, good morning. We have an exciting episode for us today. We've done $187,000 in the last 24 hours, and we've passed $4 million in volume since we started these experiments. And we have been able to improve the P&L. So if you remember last Friday, we were looking at how we could improve P&L by increasing the refresh rate. So essentially giving the bot longer time to fill each order, especially the shorter bips one or the ones with a shorter spread. It seems to have worked. We're now at $131 per average 1 million of volume. But we have some insanely interesting bot performance if we dive into the data. We might have a bot that is able to produce 1 million of volume for less than $20. Let's jump into today's episode so we can find out which bot this is. See you in. Right, so as we can see, we're at $187,000 in volume over the last 24 hours. And just to have a quick look, we have done more than $4,179,000 in volume since we've started. And I gotta say that this end of the graph looks very, very appealing. All right, so let's jump into the data to have a look at what can be improved. Here we go. So usually what I do is that I export all of the data from Paradex. I add it into a normal Google Sheet, and then I add some new columns so that I can clearly see the volume, the fees, also the realized P&L and the realized funding. Here we have a bit of an overview. So here we can see the magic. So we can see that increasing the refresh interval actually helped generally all of the bots. So we've been able to do $187,000 worth of volume. Majority of that volume comes from the 2-bip bot. As we can see here, the 2 bips in spread is producing $295,000 worth of volume. This is over the entire weekend. So this is since Friday until today. We can see that the 5 bips have been performing quite well with a total P&L of roughly $14. So this is definitely one that I want to continue to fine tweak a little bit. What I think I will do with both of the 2 bips and 5 bips is that I will improve the spread with 1 bip. So the 2 bips I'm going to increase to 3 bips, and the 5 bips I'm going to increase to 6 bips. Because if we look at the 9 bips one, we have some really, really interesting data. We can see that the 9 bips one has actually been able to produce essentially 14,000 worth of volume. It's not a lot, but it's been able to do that at a total P&L. So this is including fees at $0.24. The net P&L was actually positive. It actually made essentially 4 cents. Which means that if we extrapolate that to to 1 million in volume, it would run at roughly $16 per million in volume. So let's jump in and look a little bit at that bot to see what configs is actually running. So let's look at Mithril. Here we got the bots. So the 9 bips one is currently doing $150 per trade. The spread is 9. And the refresh interval is 30. So this was 25. I increased it to 30. And I also increased the order ticket size from 100 to 150. So what I want to do with this one is I want to increase the order size to $300. I want to see if I can scale this one. I'm also going to decrease the refresh interval just slightly to somewhere between 25 and 30, something like 28, to try that out for a bit. And then what I want to do with the 2 bips and the 5 bips one, so these are the ones that are producing great volume, but their P&L are essentially the worst, right? So the 2 bips one is doing 41 minus in P&L. That's without the fees. Including the fees is at 47 minus P&L for roughly 300,000 worth of volume. And the 5 bips one is at 14 minus for roughly 120,000 in volume. That brings the cost per million in volume for the 2 bips one to 159 and to the 5 bips one for 120. Both of these, in my opinion, are quite good. Like, I'm happy with $120 for 1 million. 160 is a little bit on the higher end. So that's why I'm going to increase the 2 bips to 3 bips. I might also increase the interval slightly on that one. So if we look at the 2 bips one, we can see that I increased the refresh interval from 10 to 20. So I might actually increase this one to 25 and add 1 more bip to the spread. So this is going to be a 3 bip and 25. And I'm going to do a similar thing with the 5 bips one. So for the 5 bips one, I'm going to increase it to 6. And I'm going to increase the refresh interval to 25 from 20 to see how that improves the performance. Check in again tomorrow to see if that worked or if that made the performance worse. We will know tomorrow. Until then, take care. All of the best.